Right, this is Media and Society, and last time we did something else. We were dealing with the communication, and then we talk about mass communication and other forms of communication. Just to wrap up, like for the mass communication, just few elements that can distinguish mass communication and other forms of communication. In mass communication, there is an element of distance, right? So it's whereby the communication between those who send and receive messages not just at one place, they are far apart. So there's that element of distance. And usually it's when you talk about the distance, the information is also impersonal, and it lacks immediacy, and usually it's one way. And apart from having the element of distance, there's an element of technology, whereby there's the use of technology, right? And the other element that can also characterize mass communication, there is scale, what is called scale, whereby the information is given to people that are scattered on a wide or large scale, and the information is given simultaneously to all those people that are not just one place, but are scattered over a wide scale. And also another one is of commodity, whereby to get information from the mass communication tools or vehicles, you need to have the money, you need to have resources to be able to acquire those platforms. So that's what we talked about. Now, when it comes to functions of the mass media, we talked a little bit of different functions, and they do have.
In fact,
that's where we stopped. Right. Okay, so we're going to start from there, because what we want to address today, we want to talk about perspectives on. I think it's supposed to be on. Perspectives on, right? Perspectives on mass communication. So in this perspectives on mass communication, we are going to talk about something to do with the uses of, or the functions of mass communication. We're going to appreciate as we are exploring the perspectives. But when the function, as we say, different media have different primary functions. That's just a general statement, whereby as we appreciate that we have got different media vehicles, they might not, even if the message is the same, but they might not play the same function based on the nature of that particular media. So they do have different primary uses, and different groups of people use the same media content for different reasons. As I'm saying, the same content could be used by somebody for other reason. Another one could use it for another reason. So there are perspectives whereby we have got the scenarios whereby the mass media content creators have got their own aim, what they are wishing that the people could use the mass media. But when you go to the actual people, it's not exactly that aim that was intended by the creator that the people are going to use it for. People could use it the way the creators wants. They might use it differently from contrary to the way the creators wants to be used. As I've said already, if you talk about news and a discussion may inform you, that's for an example. If you have news and then you have discussions may inform you, and the radio and television programs may educate you. Films and television series and programs may entertain you. So you might have content from the media, mass media, but playing different functions. Talking about playing functions of entertainment, playing functions of education, playing functions of informing. So we might have different functions being played by the mass media, while maybe the owner wanted it to just have a specific function. So let's address the perspectives on mass communication. People study mass communication for a variety of reasons, right? So no matter the reasons for the study, it is helpful to use what is known as a paradigm. A paradigm. Right? I do believe that's the correct spelling, right? So this paradigm is like a model or a pattern, a specific pattern. So you need to have a paradigm to give the way or to guide us on the way we think about the mass communication process. So for us to be able to understand mass communication process, that's the way in the process that we would like to study mass communication. Now, for us to be able to understand the mass communication process, we need to have a particular paradigm, a specific paradigm that could guide us. So these paradigms, there is no one paradigm, there's so many paradigms, right, that could be used in the process of studying mass communication, right? But for, like in short, before we go to the paradigm that we can explore, a paradigm is useful for several reasons. Like here they talk about a paradigm can provide the one who is studying, like for example in our case, ourselves. So it provides us with a consistent perspective from which to examine mass communication. So it provides us with a consistent perspective from which to examine mass communication, right? So it will give us, because when we like to study or to analyze something, it's good for you to have a perspective. Right? You are going to analyze it on what perspective? Because we have got so many perspectives. For example, when we talk about the news, you could have a perspective from the creator or the newspaper institution. Eh? So you could look at that from the newspaper institution, or you could look at it from the receiver institution, proposition. So those are just, so that's the first one. Right. Welcome. Right. You just find us that we are just starting, like you. Right. So what I'm saying today, like what we are dealing with, last time we deal with mass communication, but we are dealing with communication process, and now we deal with mass communication and the like. So today we are. Last time where we stopped at functions of mass communication. So we are about to study something called perspectives on mass communication. The reason of studying this is that as we are exploring this, we are going to appreciate the functions of mass communication in the process, right? And as I've said when I was studying, I was saying mass communication, or let me just say mass media, because now that's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with the mass media. So functions of the mass media, how people use mass media. So say mass media could be used in different ways. So I'll say that it will depend on what perspective you are studying it from. Because if you would like to study mass communication, you need to have a perspective. You could think about the creators or the content creators, you could think about the consumer's perspective. Sometimes the mass media could be used the way the creators intended to. Sometimes mass media could be used different from the intended purpose, right? So it's not straightforward, because sometimes people, they will think like, just because this, I mean, for example, even music itself, right? Oh, music, you talk about even house music, eh? People think when you talk about house music or amapiano music, it's for the party, for the club. Eh? So it means this music can only be used to dance at the club. You'll be surprised somebody could use amapiano music for something else. Different from what you even, say, okay, when I'm doing this, I play amapiano music. We had even there are some other movies. Eh? People would use some other music to rob maybe a bank as motivation. But that sound music was not intended that people should use it to be robbing something. So that would be a different use of mass media, right? So when I was saying that if you like to study mass communication, then you need to have specific paradigms. This is what I'm talking about, paradigms. So paradigm is like a model that you're going to use, or a pattern that you're going to use in the process of trying to understand the concept of the mass communication. So there are so many paradigms. And in our way, in our scenario, we're going to use two paradigms that we're going to use that are going to help us to understand this. And before we go into the two paradigms, these are the two paradigms. There's the functional approach and the critical cultural approach, right? So I was saying, before we go into this one, I was saying a paradigm will, like the benefits of the paradigms, like the first a paradigm, it provides us with a consistent perspective from which to examine mass communication. So one of the function of the, or one of the usefulness of paradigms, a paradigm, it will provide us with a consistent perspective from which to examine mass communication. Another usefulness is it generates concepts that are useful in understanding mass or media behavior, right? So I say the first one, it provides us with a consistent perspective from which to examine mass communication. The other one is it generates concepts that are useful in understanding media behavior, right? So it will help us to generate those concepts that are useful in understanding media behavior. And the last one is it helps us to identify what is or what is not important in the process. So it will help us to make that distinction, to understand what is, or to identify what is important and what is not important in the process. So those are the usefulness of paradigms, right? So for us, as I said, we're going to use these two paradigms, the functional approach and the critical approach. So the functional approach, it emphasizes the way audiences use mass communication, right? The functional approach emphasizes the way audiences use mass communication and the benefits people receive from media consumption. It emphasizes the way audiences use mass communication and the benefits people receive from media consumption. So it means we're going to study mass communication basing on the benefits that people are going to get, or audiences are going to get when they use mass communication, and also I mean, we're talking about the way, looking at the way audiences use mass communication and the benefits they will get from it. This critical cultural approach, unlike this one, this approach examines the underlying power relationship in media exposure, right? And stresses the many meanings and interpretations the audience members find in media content, right? So this approach, critical cultural, and as I said that in our discipline, most of the concepts, the names of the concept will give you a clue on what they are. So critical, they're already telling you, you are not just looking at on the surface. Maybe people are using it, something, that's on the surface. Oh, we are using, but you don't even really know what is behind it. So in the critical, you will search for the hidden meanings, not what you are seeing, right? So in this one, that's what I say, it examines the underlying power relationship in media exposure, that's media exposure, and stresses the many meanings and interpretations that audience members find in media content, right? So that's a little bit more complex in this one. So still, we will understand mass communication if we are going to check all these on these approaches. Now, like here they give an example for maybe there are people who went to a cinema. I don't know if you have got a cinema in Malawi, yeah, but do we have any longer? We have a cinema in Malawi. Where any longer? Because I knew there was a certain so-called cinema somewhere at the city mall. I don't know if it's still there. Where is it? The actual cinema that you're talking about, not just the room with a big screen or whatever, but the actual setup of a cinema. I know that maybe it's not recognized but because these world cinemas are recognized by Hollywood. I don't know in Malawi if we have those. We used to have one in Atlanta a long time ago. It was called Apollo. It was recognized. When you say recognized, when you have releases in Hollywood, like when they say a certain movie is going to be released on this date, they will send you that film, and it will be released on that day simultaneously elsewhere. Yeah, but here the cinemas I recently knew were those whereby they will take already released material, then they will just show it. But whatever the case, that will be as long as the setup is a cinema, it's a cinema. But maybe it's not really good. Okay, but I knew that we had some in Blantyre. I knew there was one. I don't know if it's still there, but there was one at the game complex, Sign Cinema. It was somewhere in the game down where there was a car park, the underground car park. There was somewhere where there was a cinema in Ilongwe. I knew something, but okay, maybe we are. But we need that. But what I'm saying, an example. If you're going to go to the cinema as a group, because it's mass communication. I mean, yes, mass communication. It's not just one person. Now, you have watched a movie there, maybe Batman movie, Superman movie. So, if you like to analyze the mass communication process there, only that movie, if you use the approach of the functional approach, the questions that you're going to ask after those people have watched the movie are going to be questions like, why did the people choose to see this movie? Why did they? Well, there are so many movies around. So they saw a poster, there's going to be Black Panther. Now they went, why did they decide to go there? That's number one. Then you ask questions like, people, when they watch the movie, would people going to, or are the people going to identify with the characters? Because there are going to be characters there. So are they going to identify with the characters they have watched? And if they have identified the characters, why is it so? Because it could be maybe the movie, they were showcasing maybe a certain life of certain grouping of people, so these people are also of the same level of in society, maybe. You see? Yeah, because sometimes, you could have movies, like an example, you see we have got the so-called black movies, movies that whereby they show life of blacks. So you see most of the black people, they identify with, like for example, we had this movie, Friday. You know, that's one movie, it has got so many versions. So it was popular among black people community because it was showing the real life of the people from, you want to go in USA, not just what we have been seeing, like portraying them as all rich people. It was showing like, those people, local, low-level people. You went somewhere, you have been fired from a job, you sit at your veranda and you chat with your friend, then you are looking around, you are seeing scenarios in other houses. Do you see this one? This is happening. See this one? The kids will come, will hit the bins and the trash bins. Then you chase those kids. Then while you're chasing them, they come a bully. What do you have? Search your pockets. And then I don't have anything. So you have all those stories. It's not even an action movie. But it was popular. It's even regarded as a classic movie. The reason is it's a classic movie for these black people because they relate or they identify with the characters. So those are the questions you could ask yourself when it comes to critical. The first one, this functional approach. Right. So those are the questions. We're talking about questions such as will viewers have a more positive view of violence in that movie? There was violence or something else after watching the movie, because there could be, I think you've been seeing movies whereby they will portray something that is not moral. Let me say violence. Violence is not encouraged, but the people could watch violent movies. So you could say, okay, after they watch this one, could these people have a more positive view? We have seen them even in kids. I don't know if nowadays if they do that, but we used to do that ourselves. We used to go and watch a martial arts film. And when we are out, we finished watching a martial arts film, we could go outside and do spying. We feel energized, that we can hit anybody. So you see, it's like you are now feeling like, hitting people is okay. That is how you could analyze it. So you would analyze issues like those. Did the younger viewers experience the film differently than the older viewers? So those are the questions. When you think about the critical now, because the questions I was asking are the functional approach, on the critical cultural approach, I think the difference would be, maybe to make it more clear, when you have the functional approach, I think you can see the name. This approach is more to do with the users of the content. While with this critical cultural, most of the time it deals with the creators, the intention of the creators. What with the intention and with what has been happening, did it achieve maybe what they wanted, something like that. While on this side, other side on the function, you are going to be looking at more on these people who are using the thing. So for the critical, you could cultural, you could ask questions like, let's see here. Okay. Maybe representation. Talk about representation. You have watched a movie and now you're seeing that maybe there is only one black man in the film. Like the way it has been, people that have been using critical analysis, when you're analyzing horror movies. People, they say when they watch horror movies, most of the horror movies, if there is a black person, if people starts to be killed, one of the first to be killed is a black person. That's people have noted. It was like as if you said, no, this is not. It's like it's a representation. So why do you have like horror movies now? You have black people being killed first, or most of the black characters in horror movies, they don't survive to the end. And even people, they say there's only this movie Bruce Drake. If I'm not, is it Bruce Drake? No, it's not Bruce Drake, but a movie by this rapper LL Cool J. It's a horror movie, but they were fighting sharks. So he survived. So you say he made history, because in horror movies, black movies don't survive until the end. You see, so issues like those, representation, what is the portrayal? Why, when they put one black person in a movie, what are they talking about? Do they mean that you cannot have maybe like the way they have been doing with a lot of slave movies? Black movies, black actors been acting slave movies, white actors acting action movies. So say you mean you can't have black actors acting action movies? So it's like sending a message. It's as if black people cannot manage to act action films. Or so it's like you are lacking the minutes. So you could see such portrayal of maybe characters. It's not clear, because that's why you see all the critical. Critical, you analyze issues that are not explicit. They will not show you that we are sending you this message, but you could say no. Based on what I'm seeing here, this could mean this. That's the thing. So let's start with now a functional analysis, because I'll just try to let us understand this too. Let's start to concentrate on the functional analysis. In this this is the simplest, or it's the simplest form, or in this simplest form, the functional approach holds that something is best understood by examining how it is used. So according to the functional approach or functional analysis, they believe that, or functional analysts, they believe that something is best understood by examining how it is used. That's what they believe. So in mass communication, this means examining the use of the or the use that the audiences make of the interactions with the mass communication. We could be able, or mass media, we could be able to understand how mass media or mass communication is. So that's the thing. So in terms of the functional analysis, they look at the role of mass communication in society. That okay, what is the role of mass communication in society? Now, the mass media, if we look at the society, is this one in the mass, in functional approach, it talks about that there is a way that we will go about studying the role of the mass communication in society. But now, it says we could do it by following two approaches, right? And they say the first approach would be we could look at how the mass communication impacts the media as on a society as a large, not like as a let me say individual levels. So what it says here, it is possible to conduct an analysis at least at two levels, and on one hand we could take the perspective of a sociologist and look through a wide angle lens to consider the functions performed by the mass media. So what they're saying, the perspectives on the functional approach, we could look at the sociologists. For sociologists usually look at the function of the mass media, usually on the entire society, that how is it affecting them, right? So we could use this approach, which is sometimes called macro analysis, right? So we can analyze this like you have macro analysis. Then we will have, which is the other one here, micro analysis. So macro analysis and micro analysis, right? So on the macro analysis, this viewpoint focuses on the apparent intention of the mass communicator and emphasizes the manifest purpose inherent in the media content. Okay. So what we're saying is we'll have in a society whereby we will have scenario whereby we are trying to examine the uses of the mass communication or the mass media. Now we will break it down in the sense that we are going to not just look at the society as a whole alone, but we're going to first examine. I think in this one, okay, because I remember when the statement does, I want us not to get confused, because I talked as a whole. This one, if you remember, because I talked about this is more to do, got to do with maybe the creator, but that is not the main point I'm talking, because I'm afraid I don't want us to get confused with this. There may be a thing that we could keep in mind on this is the element of the critical element. Maybe that's what we can concentrate on. That in this one we are going to look at something very critical. While in this one we are going to look at, let me just say the function, the same functions, but not on the critical level, like on the surface, how they are using it. Meaning, it's like we are going to get what we see, maybe what we hear. While in here, it's more to do with not just what we see only, or what is clearly presented, but what could mean. They could present us as in a certain way to say, okay, this is supposed to be like this, this means this. But we could look beyond what they tell us, because it could mean something different. So that's what we say. So I'm saying it because I wanted us to be not confusing here. Because right here, we are going to look at the function of the mass, how the society uses mass media. But when you go beyond the macro, it means from that perspective, from those people who are creating that content. Here, on the micro is now, would be from the individual. Now, people who are going to be getting the content. That's how I bring it down, because I don't want us to get confused with the statement I said in the beginning. So, as I say, the viewpoint, which is the microanalysis, will focus on the apparent intention of the mass communicator and emphasizes the manifest purpose inherent in the media content, right? So look at the purpose of the media content and the mass media or the mass communicator, right? And emphasize the manifest purpose inherent in the media content. On the other hand, when we look through a close-up lens at the individual receivers of the content, the audience, and ask them to report on how they will use the mass media. is now we are going to have the micro, right? It's like they will tell us, like here they will tell us why they are intending to send that mass media content from the one who are sending the message. On the other one, on the macro, is why do they use it? As I gave an example for the cinema, you ask them, why do you watch this movie? They will tell us, no, we watch this movie because this actor, I just like this actor. You know, some people, they do that. Even if maybe the movie is trash, they don't even know it. You know, I just love, Leonardo DiCaprio. You know, some of the ladies, they will do that. As long as it's Leonardo DiCaprio, they will watch the movie. They want to watch the movie. As long as it's Keanu Reeves, they still want to watch the movies. We know we had even our time, that time, a period whereby as long as it's Van Damme, we just say there's a new Van Damme movie, you search for it. I know this was a movie, you search for it. But it could be a bad movie. But you see people, they watch it because they say, we love the character. It might not be a character. Nowadays, people, they even go deep. They could even look for directors. They will know that this, for example, the time when that director became popular, the first one to become popular as a director, apart from the characters, Steven Spielberg. Steven Spielberg, all the movies he was directing, they were becoming classic, and they were, for example, he directed the Indiana Jones movies. So you can see, when you watch Indiana Jones, you say, no, I think the director could be a good director. He directed Indiana Jones movies, he directed the Jurassic Park movies, he directed, there was a movie called E.T., it was an alien or whatever movie. So he directed, so all the movies he directed, they are classics. So because it's popular, people would watch it because, it's Steven Spielberg. And there's this other director that also became popular, James Cameron. He became popular because of Terminator 2, The Judgment Day. Because when Terminator 2 came, it broke box office records. So all the movies, when you say James Cameron directed the Terminator 2 and Avatar. You know that animation called Avatar. There's the new Avatar 2 right now. Right now, he also, so it would be because of that. It could be because of anything. Maybe it's because there's Eddie Murphy in it, or maybe so that could be some of the reasons, right? But now let's just go and see as you can see, because we could analyze, for example, if you ask the content creators, okay, why did you do this? We do this, we put this because we wanted people to do this. So you ask the people, okay, why did you watch this? What did you gain from this? People will tell you, no, we watch this, then we get this. So you could discover that there could be scenarios whereby the intention of the creator could be this, what these people get exactly. But you could discover that sometimes what these people were aiming at. They were aiming that people, if they watch this movie, they are going to have this. But when you ask the people, they could discover that maybe they're saying something different. No, when you watch the movie, maybe we have noticed this. So there could be those two scenarios whereby it's not all the time that the creators will create something and then will intend to give something that people will get the exact element. So sometimes also, when you have, if you are a content creator, I think that's a term that is being used now, because I've been seeing on the social media, people are having as a title, who are you? I think you've seen even on this popular, even TikTok and the like, they will say a content creator. I know there are two terms that are popular now, an influencer and a content creator. Influencer, so where I've got 100,000 followers, then you call yourself an influencer, because whatever maybe you say, people are going to be followed. Or a content creator, it means you give them people what to read about, what to watch, so something like that. Okay, so sometimes I'm saying there could be negative consequences. The negative consequences which are not desirable, because you give something, the content, and then that's not what you intended. It have something that is bad. For example, maybe a movie, you are trying to discourage people from something, but after watching that movie, people are encouraged to do that, right? So if you have got that negative or harmful outcomes, there's this term called dysfunctions. Even dysfunctions, right? When you say dysfunctions, these are harmful or negative consequences emanated from the consumption of the media content, right? So, as we are saying, there might be instances in which these consequences are undesirable from the point of view of welfare of the society, right? Because we are talking about the society, right? You want to have a very good society. Now you end up, people to be doing something that is negative or harmful to the society after watching the content. So that's what is called dysfunctions, right? So let's see, as I'm saying, we are examining the functional approach. So we'll start with the function of the media. Let me just say function of the media at the societal level, which is the macro, right? Macro analysis is at the society level. Micro is at the individual level. So when you are looking at the consequences based on the impact of the society, it means we are analyzing mass media content at the macro level, which is macro analysis. So on the macro analysis, functions of the functions of the media at the societal level, we have surveillance. I'm going to send you, I've sent some documents, I think maybe you see them on the WhatsApp, but I'll send another one. It was a bigger one because it's around 70 something MB. So I didn't send it, but it's a good one. It's Dominic. All these you find them there. It's a good one. The content I'm reading here, you're going to find it. So I'm going to send you later on. So we have got the surveillance. This is the surveillance as the function of the media at the societal level. Then we got interpretation. Then we have linkage. Some of these are even self-explanatory, right? Then we have transmission of values. Then we have mass media and socialization, which is we're going to explain it later, or the socialization. Yes, socialization. Mass media and socialization. Then we have TV or television and socialization. The last one we have entertainment. Right, so at the societal level, we have got surveillance, and the surveillance refers to what we call the news and the information funk or raw. Surveillance is the news and information raw of the the mass media or the media. So the news and the informational role of the media, what it means, people want to get the news. People want to get the information. So there are a number of types. We have got two types of surveillance, right? So on the surveillance, two types. We have the first type of surveillance is we have warning or beware. Warning or beware surveillance. Then we have what else is the other one? Then we have instrumental surveillance. This one is instrumental surveillance. So on the surveillance, we have two types of surveillance: warning or beware surveillance and instrumental surveillance. On the warning and instrumental surveillance, on the warning and beware surveillance, as the name says, occurs when the media informs us about threats from different, let me just say different levels or different people, or threats, for instance, or in short, let's just say occurs when the media informs us about threats. That would be it. For example, you could be threatened from terrorism, or from hurricanes, or from volcanoes, or from economic depression. All these, the increased inflation or military attacks, right? So all the warnings, you could be to do with the environment, to do with the economy, to do with whatever, right? So that's what people are going to be getting from the warning of beware. And these warnings can be about immediate threat. That's something that it is an immediate issue, or about chronic or long-term threats, right? Newspaper stories about pollution or climate change, right? So you could have warning. For example, if they say, people that will go to the mass media to get maybe the weather reports and the like, or sometimes they will just would like to get maybe the state of the economy in this particular country. So surveillance, usually we have that on the warning and beware. And when you have on the instrumental surveillance has to do with the transmission of information that is useful and helpful in everyday life. So they're going to, first of all, get information about threats, which is the warning or beware surveillance. Or they'll get information about different things that is to do with your everyday life. Information that will help you in so many aspects in your life. So you do with the transmission of information that is useful and helpful in everyday life. So news about film or local theaters, stock market prices, new products, fashion, recipes, all those. You see, you just want to hear information about anything. What's the latest movie? What's the new album from Afrobeats? What's all those things? What's a new movie? So it's information. It might not be that it's a threat, it's not, but it's just information that you need, maybe for your entertainment purposes. So, in short, surveillance is that informational role, whereby they will the people are seeking information from the media. So, let's see the problem on relying on the media to perform the surveillance function. What do you think would be the problem for the people? If people, like the way you do right now, it's like we're in a scenario whereby people, it seems like people cannot do anything without the media. If you just say, you see, I think like last year, there was a internet blackout for, I think, if it's not 3 minutes, but there was chaos, just 3 minutes. You just be without the internet. There was noise. I think even sometimes it was even 1 minute. But now, there was chaos around the world. No, 1 minute. So say, what if you can say, we just shut down the internet completely, the mass communication, mass media, if you just shut it down. Because if you go to any history, we didn't have the mass media. We didn't know what was happening at the old Stone Age. So what can happen? So you discover the way people are living in the light time is different from now. For example, how do you know about America? A person that you have never gone to America, but you are able to dress like an American, to be, even some they, in their head, they are not in Malawi. In their head, they are in Brooklyn. They are in, New Orleans, or they are, some of them in Jamaica. Some of them, but they have never been there. Why? It's because of the mass media. The media, they've seen it on the media, they have seen the way they dress, so they are transformed. So which means, if we can subtract the media, or the mass media, people could live differently. They could live a completely different life from what they are living now. Something like that. So I wanted to say that on that vein, what do you think would be, because this one, it means people, they are relying on the mass media to get information to do something. So what do you think could be the problem of this function of the people relying on the mass media, if you know the nature of the mass media? Because it will depend on if you know it. For example, I gave an example of if the news is given to the people. People don't know anything about how news stories are created. They just believe that what they see in the media is what is happening there. But if you know that there was somebody who went there and see what's happening this side, that side, and decide to write what is happening this side. Not this, not this. And you take that thing and you decide to put it in a certain angle based on yourself. You take that information and you go to the newsroom. The editor will decide that this information is not needed and this information is needed. You will decide, how do you then, there are people who might need that other information, but the editor will decide. Then they will take that information. The chief editor will say, no, this one is not supposed to be like this. It's supposed to be put like this. After the process, now that information will be published and somebody will read it. So we think like, this is exactly what is happening. So with the process, on that process, I was giving an example to just let you know that there could be danger on over-reliance on this. Because if there is that process, people could be manipulating things. Because you are just relying on getting the... I notice now when I chat with people on other issues, I gave an example like issues to do with Ukraine. Most of the people, when I told them about Ukraine, they give me a perspective, but when I told them how the issue started, most of them say, we didn't know that it started like that. They just know now, but they don't know where the story is coming from, because the media does not report how the war conflict started. So it means they might have a perspective, the perception, which is not the whole truth. They will make decisions. They will make like I was giving an example, like what we do our president, coming out and criticizing Russia. You're doing that, but do you know what is happening there? Did you discover how it started? And do you know that even these are people who are telling you to choose a side? Because I was saying, two people are fighting. Now, you as a neutral person, for you to make sure that this conflict is not there, do you supposed to pick a side? Or do you supposed to decide to find ways to make these people stop fighting? Or I'm saying we find out how Armenia. They will join, they will do it. So you ask them, put each other in the and then they will tell you, then you make sure that you are in the middle. Don't show that you are this side or that side. If you know the other information. But if you just know, this person is fighting this one, and this one is beating this one. So because this one is beating this one, let me join this loser. And you don't know the whole truth. So it's exactly I'm giving you like you say, there are some other problems on relying on the media to perform this surveillance function. First, you're talking about inaccuracies and distortions, right? So I gave an example already, inaccuracies. There could be some other information that is not accurate. But because you are found in the media, you would believe it. Yeah? I gave an example. I think you know it because you are people. You have been on the media. You are constantly on the internet, isn't it? I do believe you know Wikipedia, isn't it? Or you know Wikipedia, right? Okay. So Wikipedia, most of the information when you search about somebody, for example, Beyonce or whatever, you find that one of the pages is going to show you Wikipedia. They're going to be information. But the problem of Wikipedia, that's why for me, maybe just for your own information, when I give you an assignment, I don't expect you to give me a source from Wikipedia. If you copy something, now you give a source from Wikipedia, it means you don't know what Wikipedia is. But because Wikipedia is helpful, but has got also the problem we are talking about. Why? There is an element at Wikipedia whereby they will give the people chance to put input. That's how Wikipedia get the information. For example, we are in Malawi. They are maybe in the UK. They don't know things about Malawi. So they will talk about Malawi, but because they don't know much about Malawi, they will give you a chance for a person who is there to add some other information. So you might add it there. Or in Malawi, there is also maybe Tantile. There's also, so because you are here, it's easy for you to give the much more detail because you are there, isn't it? But the only problem is, if you're giving a chance to people to do that, it will depend on the integrity on the person who is doing that. Because some people would say, no, I want to mislead people. There was a case recently. There was a case, I heard that there was a case even on BBC. Somebody updated Wikipedia and put wrong information about somebody. And they even put a picture and put details. And there was I don't believe it's a professor or somebody was writing a book, and they made reference to that as the truth. And everything, but later on they discovered, no, that was not true information. Somebody put the information, but it was deliberately edited and put the wrong information. So you use the information and you teach somewhere as if it's the truth. So there could be distortions and inaccuracies. Inaccuracies is another thing. There could be maybe total lies. Apart from inaccuracies, people could, for example, Wikipedia, they could do that. So inaccuracies would be there in the sense that don't assume that everything you see in the media is 100% correct. So if you get something that is not completely the truth, there could be some negative, the dysfunction we are talking about. You will have negative impact because it's not what was up. So like you talk about inaccuracies travel just as fast as the truth statements. As you know, when there are rumors, you see the way information travel on WhatsApp. Somebody could just spread something, maybe it's not true, the truth, but don't expect, as they are saying there, it's not only the truth that travels fast. Even in the inaccuracies can travel as well as the truth, which is traveling fast. People will get wrong information quickly. So that's the thing. Another thing is like talking about much of what we know about the world is machine processed and hand-me-down information. So you have got machine processing, as I have said, the process that goes on into the newsroom. It's not exactly what is happening there. News is pre-screened for us by a complex arrangement of reporters and editors, as I have said. So we need to know that. In today's world, with sophisticated systems of mass communication, we are highly dependent on others for news. So consequently, we have to put a certain amount of trust in the media that do our surveillance. This trust is called credibility. So it is important. It is an important factor in determining which news medium people find is believable. So I know that's what we do. So there are some other news mediums that we believe more, some we doubt. Like here we have Zodiac. We say, oh, it's from Zodiac. Oh, you believe it. Because people just, where did you hear this? I hear this maybe on if it's something to do maybe with the opposition. Oh, on NBC, because maybe it might not be. You know what NBC is, but it's on Zodiac. Oh yeah, maybe this. It's like you have good trust in that. Okay, so that's to do with surveillance. Now we have these are some we're going to just go faster because they are straightforward. Interpretation. Interpretation. As I talk about this, the media. Media not just apply facts and data, they have information on the ultimate meaning and the significance of events, right? So people could go and would use the media to get the meaning and interpretation of particular or specific events or issues, right? So that's the interpretation role. And example, like in the newspapers, an example would be you have got editorials. Editorials, you will give explanation. If you have got an editorial in the newspaper, an editorial is like you have got a newspaper, you have got the front page. When you go inside the other second page, you have got somewhere whereby they will say comment. So the news media will explain things. That's interpretation. They will try to clarify some other things. Right? So you have got those. So interpretation could be through analysis or editorials or editorial cartoons or reviews. So you could have a way, for example, or even when you are watching, even on TV, TV, you know, after every game like Super Sport, they will have analysis. They will analyze the whole game to say maybe why did this team lose. So you'll be watching to understand that how did it lose, because we don't believe it was a home ground. We have hope. So you don't understand. You have watched the thing, you have seen the way it is, but you are looking for interpretation. So they will use maybe a review program whereby to analyze something. In the newspaper, they will have maybe somewhere people like even a column. Those columns in newspaper, they try to analyze some other issue. So there could be so many ways of clarifying issues. That's what people are going to be looking for. Then you have got the linkage right here. I think before I go to linkage, I just say consequences of the interpretation function. Like here, exposure to large number of viewpoints, making one to evaluate all sides of an issue before arriving at an opinion. So, like if you have been exposed to large number of viewpoints, because the interpretation fact, it means you are going to check, okay, there's something we don't understand, then you're going to listen to the radio. So radio about it. Then you're going to read the newspaper. Oh, they are saying this. So they could be explaining something or clarifying something using different points of views. So because you are going to be here, maybe even different points of view, it's easy for you to make to arrive at a decision, a good decision, because you'll be hearing this view. Because some could just analyze it on one side, the importance or the good thing. People will talk about the good thing of drinking beer, and without thinking that if you drink, so there will be other people who will say no, the negative sides. So if you listen, this one are saying this one are saying. So if you want to do something, you say, okay, because I've heard all different perspectives, you could be able to arrive at a good decision because of that. So that it would be helpful for you, for people, right? The media makes available a wide range of expertise. So this on this one, as I say, because they are trying to clarify some things. So you see, you have a chance to hear from different expertise. They will bring maybe a doctor and try to explain something. So had it been there were no other programs to try to explain, clarify, you have never get, because some even other doctors, they will charge you to give you information. But you could get free information. People, society will get free information because of such kind of maybe programs will try to give it clarifications. The dysfunctions of interpretation function, we will say the negative function, are good. So dysfunction of this function of say interpretation, no guarantee that interpretations by experts are accurate and valid. That's the thing. There is no guarantee. I'll give you an example. We've been hearing about COVID, and there's been coming experts telling people. But I can tell you right now, because we have got now evidence, what the experts were saying at the beginning, right now, most of them will be proven that it was not the truth. Because most of the experts were saying, when you get this, when you get the vaccination, it means you're okay. You cannot go. So later on, they discover, no. Because there's been that conflict in the American army. People were expelled because they were refusing to get vaccination. So now, people are arguing now. They are saying, no. Why did you expel them? Why? Because it's been found that the vaccine they have been telling people to get. They cannot prevent them from getting the infection. They cannot prevent them from passing information, the infection to the other people. They cannot, let me just take those two. If the vaccine cannot prevent you from getting the infection, at the same time, it also not prevent you from giving it away. And so people say, so why were you forcing? Because those are the things, and you cannot even heal you from it. So why were you? Because you were telling them as if when they get it, they will not get it, the infection, but you will not get the infection. So all the points they were saying at the beginning, being proven that and it's not the truth. So that's an example to say that if you are in the media and you are being exposed by the so-called experts, does not always mean that everything they are saying is the truth. They might be misleading. And so that's a danger of the interpretation of fact, because it's a mass media, it's a media. So it's not always, as here to talk about that, it's not always accurate and valid. Sometimes they could be inaccuracy. So linkage, quickly, when we talk about linkage, the mass media are able to join different elements of the society that are not directly connected. So the mass media are able to join different elements of the society that are not directly connected. For example, here we talk about mass advertising tries to link the needs of buyers with the product of sellers, right? Members of parliament might be linked with the needs of the people by reading newspapers, right? So you see, instead of, for example, members of parliament, they are representing the people, isn't it? So for them to travel to meet the people, to hear what they are looking for, they might just read the newspaper, and to discover newspaper they are talking about people of this constituency are complaining about this. So it means the media has linked the MPs and those society people without them travel. So there's that linkage that the media play for the society. And what else? Other examples are talking about talking about the internet, Facebook. How the community links. You have got even WhatsApp groups that you can talk. You can have this evening or video call, whereby you see a group you can be talking about. Having a call to so many people at the same time. All these groups links. So you have got all these platforms that will be linked using the media. What is the dysfunctions for this linkage element? We have, I think now we already know what's happening, like, for example, on the internet, because the internet is the biggest, when we talk about linking, in terms of the linking, the media, the world, because the World Wide Web links the whole world. We have got the people, all the millions of people from across the world linked using machine on the internet. So what is the dysfunctions? You have been hearing about hate crimes. That's just a common thing. People tell you, there's people out there that are promoting, LGBT, whatever. People, they're going to be putting comments there, trolling the people. So that's what is called hate crime. So you have platforms like those. You have other people, bullying, internet bullying other people. All those. Shielding terrorism and safe havens for terrorists. So you hear like even terrorism. Most of these terrorist activities that we in the world, they have been using the internet to link up. Or some of the shield there, like they will pretend that it's another group. While it's a group, it's a terrorism group. They will be linking using the same internet with other terrorists. So that would be, it's the same linkage, issue, but it's now on the negative side. Transmission of values. Transmission of values is also called the socialization function. Socialization refers to the way an individual comes to adopt the behavior of a group, right? So I think on the socialization, we already know the mass media portray our society, and by watching and listening and reading, we learn how people are supposed to act and what values are important. Right? So, let me see here. I think here I made a mistake. Sorry if you are writing it. I made a mistake here because this transmission of value is the socialization value. So this mass media and these two are supposed to be under this. Not. It's not supposed to be E and F. It's supposed to be transmission of value. Then these two are supposed to be under this. E is supposed to be in entertainment. It means the actual point is going to be transmission of values and then entertainment. Because these two are explaining the socialization. It's the same thing, right? So, when the same socialization, when we think about mass media now and socialization, sometimes the media consciously try to instill values and behavior in the audience. This is what is happening nowadays. You already know. We have got a lot of some other topics. When just on the mass media even right now, there are some constant. Let me say some topics that are constantly being seen in so many platforms. You discover when you go this, they're talking about the same thing. So they are deliberately doing it because they want to instill a certain maybe element or certain behavior in people. We have been seeing it already. We know especially the mainstream media from the West, what they're doing. I think maybe listen to you have been seeing a lot of these people. Have been seeing these people that have tried to do that, like a lot of these celebrities, male celebrities putting on skirts, dresses. And it's why are they doing this? So they're trying to impact. They know these are celebrities. People are following them. They are trying to say, okay, to impact other people to say, okay, if these celebrities are doing it, maybe this is normal. They are deliberately doing it because that's how. So people, they're going to make a decision to say, okay, but you're going to be finding some other things whereby they could be intentional by the media to try to impact or to instill something in certain values. So when you have the mass media, you have got newspapers may report whether accident victims were wearing or sitting belts at the time of an impact, right? It will portray certain behavior of being good or bad, right? It will also, because when you say there was an accident, now when you just say, okay, there was an accident, that happened somewhere, okay. But if you say, well, there was an accident, but the victims, they didn't put on seat belts, what are you trying to do there? It means people who read, when they go to a vehicle, they will remember that. Hey, but people did not put seat belt. Let me put on the seat belt. It's like now you are instilling a certain value by just adding information in the story deliberately. You see, So they would show the bad side, the good side. Mass media can also transmit values by enforcing social norms. This can be done by exposing certain conditions and the others, right? So, like even theft, they will be exposing issues to do with theft and the like, but they are trying to instill or to transmit values by enforcing social norms in a certain way, by exposing certain conditions worldwide. And not every attempt by the media to enforce social norms is successful, right? Because we have seen them before, like people, there are some other circumstances whereby the media tried to enforce norms on people. People, they don't buy it. There are some other cultural elements, like example, what the America was trying to do, the Qatar World Cup. You heard about it. They were trying to force Qatar to say no. There is this so-called LGBTQ, BGQ, whatever community. So you need to allow them, because Qatar said no. We are not going to allow any message on this, according to our culture. So anything, maybe they talk about American rainbow flag. We don't want to see anything to do with this. So aliens say, everybody who was portraying that one were arrested. So they were trying to force them, no. And then they were using the media, Western media, to write negative things about Qatar, to try to justify it, to that. But people did not buy. Most of the people, if you read what people were saying, majority of people, we are with Qatar. They said, don't think like, the whole world is supposed to be taking like American values. They have got their own values. Now, so you cannot come. They didn't come to your country. You have gone to their country. So if you mean you leave your country, you go to another person's country. So you want to enforce your values, because it's like a home. You have gone to a home that is not your home. Can you dictate values or how to run the home, another person's home, house? To say no, here you are not supposed to eat in lunch. To be eating lunch this time. You are supposed to be eating lunch. Can you do that? That's not your house. And they will tell you, no, this is not your house. So that's what America was trying to do. They used the media, but now it backfired. And the bad thing is like they wanted to portray as if this is going to be a West World Cup. But after the World Cup, people said it couldn't be the best. If you compare, because they were, even in UK, we are complaining about the beer. Qatar, they say there's not going to be a sale of beer at football stadiums. And they were complaining, no, why did they do that? Because the English fans, they like to drink beer at stadiums. But now, the whole tournament ended without any violence at football grounds. And people, they said that could be a good example. It means it's going to be a model for other World Cups. People are going to do that. So that's an example of how things can happen. So that's mass media and the socialization. Then there's TV and the socialization quickly here. Of all mass media, the mass media we've been talking about, television probably has the greatest potential for socialization when it go out there. Because I know it's different in Africa. Because in Africa, most of the countries in Africa, like Sub-Saharan Africa, apart from South Africa, it's radio. Because in Malawi, for example, Malawi, if you can put something on the radio, like maybe NBC or Zodiac, there are going to be majority of the people in the country who do know the details of that. Unlike if you take the same and put it on TV, because not everybody is going to watch TV. Majority of them are not going to watch that TV. Why, when you go these other countries, like these rich countries, most of the people, they don't listen to radio. Most of the people, they watch TV. So TV is like the #1 media platform. So when you put something on TV, it means it's going to have the greatest impact. So when you talk about TV, this one, they're talking about TV, because most of those countries, the highest, the media vehicle with the greatest potential for socialization is TV. In here we'll talk about it in towns. We have seen it. In towns, we follow things. The Rude Boys, you've been following Jamaican artists because of that. The Vibe Cartel. So you have never even met the person, but because you've been watching videos, And you know, oh yeah, my videos, Jamaica, okay. My Americans, you have got people trying to be like them. It's all mainly in towns. While we are outside there, it's almost everywhere. Yeah? I know in here, if you go to the village, somebody has got a TV, could be, oh, this is a rich person. While when you call this rich first world countries, television is like a radio, as I'm saying. Everyone could have a TV. Everyone, even the poorest person could have a TV. So that's the thing. So it has been argued that for many years the image of the minority groups transmitted from one generation to the next by the mass media reflects stereotypes held by those in power, right? So it's like that's what happens. I think most of the societies whereby people in power, they like this. I mean, you have got the stereotypes of these people that are the elite. They are the ones that are more like portrayed. I think you even know, before we talked about it, where it came from. All these issues to do with black and white. Being white being good, black being bad. Where did it start? Blacklist is not a good thing. Whitewash is a good thing. They could, oh, I'm going to throw. Like anything black, but is it true because it just was black? They use the same media promoting such things, black something to the extent even they made us we are called black people, and now we have been saying we hate even ourselves. We want us to look more white. Who told us that? It's all the media. They use the same media. So if you go mainstream media, you see even in Hollywood, you see that. I get example that I gave you like the media, the way, if you have noticed in Hollywood, the way they portray Russia. If you want to portray Russia, you see the way they portray Russia in Hollywood. Most of the Russians, rarely they portray Russians as good people. Most of the films, if you see Russia, Rambo 3, Russians were all those people that are those enemies. Rocky 4, Dolph Lundgren was a Russian. He was like an enemy. And now when you see most of the Russians are like mafias portrayal of Hollywood. So it's a stereotype that they're trying to put across. So it's something like that. Native Americans and blacks were the victims of this. So seeing that the stereotypes were slow to change or whatever, but we have that TV being used for socialization, but there are going to be stereotypes. We think it's a normal thing, but it would be, as I'm saying, people are going to be having a certain hairline because they have seen it on TV, hating their own hairstyle because they have seen somebody else. So it's all socialization issue, what we're talking about. Maybe the powerful nature of TV, maybe what they're saying here is because radio you can hear, but you cannot know exactly maybe how it looks. While TV you see and hear. So the impact of TV could be much more bigger than any other. So entertainment, which is a straightforward thing, entertainment is the other function here. The two media, we're talking about the motion picture and the sound recording are devoted primarily for entertainment. So usually we have got what is called the motion picture. All this film in the film industry. It's unfortunate, I was saying that we have film industry in Malawi that come up with the stories that are not even entertaining. Stories which are sad stories. Are we entertaining with sad stuff? Give us something that we can smile about, be entertained. So even though the newspapers focuses on the events of the day, comics and the like, but you're going to be having, as I'm saying, a newspaper, you're going to be having their comics, this Zaya, this Benja, all these. You have my comics, you have got Crossroad Puzzle, you have got the other just for entertainment, because it's important. The importance of the entertainment function of the media has grown over time, and the emergence of mobile media has also amplified the entertainment function of the media. Yeah? People are able to download movies, all the music, right? So you have got that. So I think we're running out of time, unfortunately. Those were the macro So where I was here is I was supposed to finalize with the how people use the mass media now. How people use the mass media at the individual level, because that was talking about at the societal level. That's what I was talking about. So this one I'm not going to go in detail because the time is already gone. But as I'm saying, I'm going to send you the book. In that one, you're going to see after what we have talked about. There are going to be this, like the uses of, mass media by individual, which is on the micro level. So you're going to see something like the first one is cognition, and the other one is cognition, then the other one is diversion. I think diversion you already know whereby sometimes you could do, you want to talk to someone, and that person doesn't want to talk to you. What do? They pretend to look at the WhatsApp. They pretend to look at the book. What are they trying to do there? That's diversion. They don't want to talk to somebody, and then they are pretending to. Or sometimes you became friends with somebody by talking about the game. We don't know the person, but there's this game. Hey, game manager, but so you are going to have cognition, diversion, social utility. Social utility, there is what is called conversational currency. That's what I'm saying. Social utility is where you could connect with other people you don't know because of the content of the media. Then you have got affiliation, then expression, then withdrawal. Right? Withdraw, but so you pretend you couldn't go in a film. Ufuna kutawa kuri usabide kuna waki. Hayo unabaya unapanda kuna masika sina malizi. Ufuna tu uzembe kuri abasa kwa video uzidana. That's the vision. So we have got all those functions. So you're going to see those. I will find time I should send that book, and I will make you sure that you should look at these. What I'm talking about, where they are. So that's about okay. So I think today we have just done with the function. Okay, then with the functional approach, meaning the critical casual didn't do it. I didn't want us to do it, maybe because of time, but we'll see how we'll do it next time. Still, you will look at it on your own, but I will say it next time. But when I send the book, you should be able to go through until maybe to that part to check about that part, the critical cultural studies. Right. Okay, so today we can pause right there, and you